regarding the institutes, we have. And again, back to independence and colonized institutes, educational, legal, judicial institutes. So, just very quickly, in a nutshell, how do we work towards? Is it Kranti? Do you think we need Kranti in any of these institutes, or will with Kranti have to take place first and before the Kranti can take place?
Yeah, I think first we as a people need to become more Bharatiya and more Indic in our mindset.
Mm,
You know, and our institutions aren't helping us at all. That's for a fact, because we've inherited most of our institutions from the British that were not definitely not meant for us. They were designed keeping in mind British society, European culture, British culture, um, and have nothing to do with being a Bharatiya. S- So
mm,
our institutions definitely need an overhaul. Honestly, I don't know I don't know what an Indic version of all of our institutions would look like, and I think there are much smarter, more knowledgeable people than me that can help answer that question. But um, we could start. There are still a lot of institutional frameworks that are still authentically Indian. And maybe we can look to those as models and examples, and then see how they can translate to other institutions as well. So in Indian classical music, whether it's Hindustani or Carnatic classical, is still taught in the very traditional Guru Shishya parampara. And our Indian classical music is the institutions of Indian classical music are truly Indian. They have by and large stayed constant and steady in their principles for a long, long time. There are also other institutions like a lot of the institutions that teach Kalaripayattu or other Indic martial arts. They have also operated in a similar manner. Um, it it Indic traditions and Indic sort of frameworks, they may or may not be, it may or may not help them to systematize it. But that doesn't mean we can't structure them in some way, and then use those Indic structures to over time replace the sometimes and quite often like the terrible institutions that we have, because there's a huge conflict between our society and its institutions, as in they very rarely see eye to eye. And I think we got a good example of that with our judiciary very recently. We got a good example of that with our governments as well. The state governments of Maharashtra and now in Bihar. We're getting an example. We're getting several examples of how these institutions aren't really helping us too much. Is There might be some elements of Kranti that are required, but I don't think, because we are at the end of the day, those institutions are still run by, governed by, and those offices are held by our people. So I don't think that deserves a Kranti like retaliation. But there might be a few elements of Kranti in terms of let's get things moving that is required. And I don't think we should be attached to our institutions at all. And I think if change comes, which it inevitably will, if our Jivan Drishti changes and if our mindset is right, um, when that change comes, we should be open to it. Um, but I think overall, Indian society has flourished despite its institutions, not because of it. And I think we can continue to flourish um, despite our institutions just not helping us, but also sometimes actively bringing us down and holding us back. And we as a society are strong enough that we can continue to flourish in those circumstances as well. But at the same time, we should be working to change those institutions, definitely. The constitution and so many of these really just irrelevant and archaic laws that we have inherited from the British, need to go. A lot of structural change needs to be brought out, and hopefully that can happen strategically over a period of time.
Please remember to subscribe to us and switch on the notifications for this channel. For our other social media links, more content, and to support our work, please visit citti.net. Dhanyavad. Namaskar.